What happens when the people you depend on most aren't the ones you see? This is the story of Apex Innovations, a company that once soared, built on the brilliance of its celebrated engineers and visionary leaders. But it's also the story of Arthur Vance, a man whose presence was as constant as the building's foundation, yet as overlooked as its hidden pipes. While executives strategized in high-rise offices and developers coded complex algorithms, Arthur worked quietly in the background. Then came the first tremor, a wave of layoffs. Important names vanished, brilliant minds were let go, budgets were slashed with surgical precision. Teams shrank, departments merged, and a hushed anxiety settled over the remaining staff. The landscape of Apex Innovations irrevocably shifted. Yet Arthur remained, the janitor, the maintenance man, the one whose work was deemed least vital, yet he was still there, sweeping the same floors. Nobody questioned why. His name wasn't on the executive board, his face wasn't in the annual report. He was simply part of the furniture, taken for granted. But Arthur was more than that. He was the building's memory, its quiet guardian. Every creak, every hum, every hidden panel whispered its secrets to him. He knew where the water lines ran, where the ancient electrical conduits snaked, where the forgotten blueprints were stored in dusty archives. Every morning, he would methodically check the boiler room, the server racks, the air conditioning units, long before the first important person arrived. He was the living blueprint, the unspoken knowledge passed down through decades of quiet service, a history few bothered to learn. As the initial shock of layoffs subsided, a new, subtle tension began to grip the remaining employees, an undercurrent of fear and uncertainty. Arthur, however, continued his duties with unchanging diligence, a rock in the shifting sands, seemingly oblivious to the storm brewing around him. The layoffs continued, relentless and unforgiving. Each round stripped away more talent, more experience, leaving gaping holes in the company's structure. The sleek facade of Apex Innovations began to crack. Small issues, once quickly resolved, now festered, ignored by overworked, anxious staff. The sophisticated systems, once running like clockwork, started to glitch. Elevators stalled, printers jammed, internet connections faltered unpredictably. One morning, the high-tech coffee machines, a symbol of corporate luxury, refused to dispense a single drop, causing a minor but palpable panic. Before any official complaint could be filed, Arthur, with a practiced hand, accessed a hidden panel and restored the crucial caffeine flow. Later, he discovered a tiny, almost imperceptible drip in a pipe leading to the main server room, a silent threat to the company's digital heart. Without fanfare, he sealed the leak, tightened the fitting, and quietly averted a disaster that no one else had even known was imminent. The executives, engrossed in their spreadsheets and emergency meetings, remained oblivious to the small acts of heroism happening beneath their feet. The building, once a symbol of cutting-edge efficiency, began to groan under the strain of neglect. Its infrastructure slowly frayed, unnoticed. Arthur, the silent observer, became the company's unsung first responder, patching over problems before they escalated into full-blown crises. Then, one afternoon, the inevitable happened. The entire network went dark. All systems crashed, bringing Apex Innovations to a screeching halt. Panic erupted. Executives gathered in a stark, unlit conference room, their faces illuminated only by the glow of their phones, scrambling for answers. They called every former IT expert, every consultant, but the system was too complex, too old, and the knowledge had walked out the door with the layoffs. Arthur, listening from the periphery, remembered a dusty manual, a forgotten bypass system from decades ago, installed by a long-retired engineer. Hesitantly, he approached the huddled group, his voice soft, almost lost amidst their urgent chatter, offering a solution no one knew existed. Initially, they dismissed him. What could the janitor possibly know about their intricate network systems? But as hours passed, desperation set in. Finally, with nothing left to lose, they listened. Arthur led them to a hidden access panel, concealed behind a rarely used storage closet. He meticulously followed the old instructions, his hands steady and precise, reactivating the forgotten bypass, breathing life back into the dormant network. The lights flickered, screens glowed, and a wave of relief washed over the remaining staff. The company was back online, saved by the most unlikely hero. There was a brief moment of surprise, a few mumbled thanks, but the urgency of business quickly eclipsed Arthur's quiet triumph. The reprieve was short-lived. The company's decline, like a slow-moving landslide, continued its inexorable descent. More people left, not just laid off, but seeking new opportunities, fleeing the sinking ship. The once vibrant halls grew eerily silent. Desperation, like a suffocating fog, settled over the few remaining souls, clinging to their jobs, hoping for a miracle that never came. Arthur continued his routine, cleaning offices that had been empty for weeks, dusting desks where important careers had once thrived. He found forgotten personal items. A child's drawing, a half-finished crossword puzzle, poignant remnants of lives abruptly uprooted. The building itself seemed to mourn. Lights flickered more frequently, heating systems sputtered, and the grand architecture felt hollow, echoing. Arthur was constantly in motion, a solitary figure tirelessly patching, repairing, and cajoling the aging infrastructure into just one more day. He began documenting every fix, every patch, every hidden anomaly, creating his own meticulous archive of the building's fading life. This secret record, born of habit and quiet duty, would one day become far more valuable than any corporate strategy document ever produced. Finally, the last executive team made the inevitable decision. Apex Innovations would close its doors for good. The dream was over. Arthur, with a heavy heart, prepared the building for their departure, ensuring everything was secured, not for a future, but for a respectful end. The last goodbyes were exchanged, hollow and quiet. The grand doors of Apex Innovations closed with a soft, definitive click, sealing its fate. Arthur was left alone. The last guardian in a vast, silent tomb of ambition, his footsteps echoing through the cavernous, empty spaces. He walked the corridors, a solitary figure, the last heartbeat in a company that had ceased to exist, his routine now a ritual of mourning. He checked every corner, every silent machine, every dormant system, out of habit, out of a deep-seated respect for the building itself. The building breathed with a different rhythm now, a melancholic quiet, a testament to what had been and what was lost. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. The grand Apex Innovations building stood deserted, a ghost of its former glory, awaiting an unknown fate. Arthur, the last guardian, occasionally returned, his small flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, performing his silent vigil. He was a living echo of a company that had failed to see its own foundations, too focused on the glittering surface to notice the quiet strength beneath. He knew the building's secrets, its vulnerabilities, its hidden strengths, a knowledge that had outlasted all the brilliant minds who had departed. Then, one crisp autumn morning, a new sign appeared outside the building. Under new management, the property had been sold. A new company, Innovate Core, purchased the abandoned structure, envisioning a complete renovation, a rebirth from the ashes. Demolition crews arrived, ready to gut the old building, but quickly ran into unexpected complexities with its aging, intricate systems. Old blueprints were missing, diagrams were outdated, and the hidden infrastructure presented a baffling labyrinth to the new teams. Just as frustration peaked, they discovered Arthur, quietly observing their struggles, his presence a familiar ghost in the old halls. He offered them not just stories, but his meticulous notebooks, filled with decades of forgotten details, repairs, and structural knowledge. His personal archives were more complete, more accurate, than anything the old company had ever officially maintained, a true historical record. The new owners quickly realized the quiet man they'd almost overlooked was an indispensable treasure trove of institutional knowledge. Arthur, the least important employee of the old guard, became the most vital consultant for the new, guiding them through the building's intricate veins. He walked them through every hidden conduit, every forgotten access point, every unique quirk of the structure he knew so intimately. His quiet, meticulous work, once ignored, was now celebrated, the cornerstone upon which the new company would build its future. Arthur Vance, the man nobody questioned, became the very reason the building could be reborn, its hidden pillars finally acknowledged. He hadn't saved Apex Innovations, but he had, in his quiet way, saved its physical legacy, ensuring its foundation could support new dreams. His story is a testament to the quiet strength found in diligence, perseverance, and the invaluable wisdom that comes from simply observing. The grand narratives often overlook the quiet heroes, the steady hands, the observant minds who hold the true essence of any endeavor together. He was the living bridge between what was and what would be, a quiet force of continuity in a world obsessed with constant, visible change. The true foundation of any endeavor often lies hidden, supported by those whose work is deemed too small to notice, yet too vital to lose. Real value is often found in the unseen,